YouTube. So this is gonna be my first video, and gosh, I don't even know where to start. So I've been in kind of a weird situation. First of all, my name is Kilo Aurora. This channel, I guess, is gonna be kind of in honor of my name. The name Aurora is essentially like the goddess of new beginnings. And I feel like I really need that right now. I really feel like I need a new beginning. I've been putting off making a video for quite some time, waiting for like the perfect moment. I have all this stuff on my face. I don't feel like I'm looking the greatest right now, but I decided I'm just gonna start. So a little bit of background. I've been in quarantine since March 2020. I have a couple chronic illnesses, which I'll go into my chronic illnesses more later on. And my husband and I have recently separated. I'm kind of working through that. The situation wasn't healthy. And I'm still trying to, in a way, break free in my own way. Still trying to decide how I feel about pursuing counseling together. I'll probably get into more details on that situation later on. Basically, I've just been pretty isolated for quite some time. Even before the pandemic, although I wasn't technically isolated then, my husband wasn't exactly like holding me back or anything. I didn't really know even how to describe what I was experiencing in the relationship. I don't know. So I might get into more of all that later. I'm still kind of nervous to talk about it all. But I basically just wanted to kind of document my journey of minimizing. I have a few different goals. Basically, for many years, I've always wanted to be able, I don't know that I will do this. I've always wanted to be able to live out of my vehicle if I needed to. Does that make sense? So I've been on a constant journey of wanting to minimize all my belongings to be able to do that. And for a while, like previous to 2015, 2014, I actually did become more minimalist. And my dog had passed away in 2015, who was like just such a companion for me. He was like one of the only people that really understood everything I was feeling and almost was like an emotional advocate for me, even in my marriage. I know that sounds so weird, like, but even if I didn't feel like I was able to safely express myself, she would sometimes like get up and start kind of snarling at my husband. And in a way I was kind of like, okay, now he knows or whatever. And it's not like I've been the type of person that doesn't want to express myself. I'm typically pretty expressive, but it's just like after some time of like learning that, I don't know, like I guess getting ridiculed for expressing something that bothers you, or, you know, being told like, well, that's stupid to feel that way, or that's dumb, like I wouldn't feel that way and I don't know anyone else that would feel that way. No one else complains to me, da 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 da. Like, and he didn't do that so much up to the end. It was just more like, I don't know, sometimes more subtle things, or sometimes he still would say things like that, but it's hard to explain how, like, the whole, I might explain more of the progression of everything and stuff later on. But yeah, when my dog passed away, it was just like I fell into this deep depression, and I kind of stopped doing some of the things that I would routinely do. And I didn't feel like um, my husband really even, like, my pain was invisible to him, if that makes sense. That doesn't mean it was. It's just like, I don't think that he really knew how to handle that. Sorry, my camera's so shaky. I should have just set up my tripod thing, but I just was like, I just gotta start this and not fuss about all the, being perfectionistic about it all. Um, yeah, I don't think a lot of things that has happened between us when it comes to, like, I guess, lack of emotional attunement isn't, I don't think he's always intentionally being mean or something, but it's just kind of like he just never really learned, you know? The fact is, it has affected me, and I don't know. I'm just still trying to figure out some things. Trying to really learn to love myself and not just act purely out of fear and attachment. And I know that I haven't contributed positively always in this relationship. I just feel like it's best for both of us right now. And I'm really grateful that he's willing to be distanced and everything right now. And yeah, I don't know. I have a lot of fears at times about how the separation could progress because we've been separated before. And I do want to talk about that in another video, how that went terribly wrong, and everything got pretty much flipped onto me, but I didn't realize that was exactly what was happening at first. I kind of just took it and took, like, all the blame. Even though it was kind of confusing, I just didn't really feel like it was my place to question it because I felt so desperate to get back together, because I didn't really see, even, this sounds so bad, but I didn't really know how I could financially support myself because of my chronic illness and everything. And I know that played a factor probably, and just a lot of different things. I guess I just felt desperate to get to a point where at least he would communicate with me or something so I can figure out what we could do to fix things. I wanted him to know that I loved him because he said that he didn't believe that I loved him, and just all kinds of things. Even if we did separate and part ways, I wanted to at least have closure, you know what I mean? But I'll probably go into the story of what all happened later on in another video, like a video dedicated to that, just to get it off my chest. I already started writing about it. It's just hard, like, once I sit down to start writing, it's so painful to relive everything. My aunt was passing away at the same time of all that happening, and I was dealing with increased health issues as well. So it was just kind of like everything all at once. That first separation was October 2019. And then to kind of explain where I'm at right now, like, all of that had happened, and then he suddenly wanted to put down a crazy faith offering at church, basically to help our marriage, to believe for our marriage. It's like an offering that you do out of belief that something will improve in your life, basically. He pulled out of his 401k to pay for certain medical treatments for me, which I appreciated, but I felt a little bit awkward about because I was like, is this, I don't, like, I was so confusing. Like, I felt like my head was getting twisted because it just, like, went from one extreme of him just, like, completely rejecting me. Because I actually initiated that first separation back in 2019. And then he just kind of, like, we were planning on staying separated until we could get into therapy. And then out of nowhere, he basically writes me this note and says he doesn't want to be with me anymore, and says that he thinks that I'm abusive and all of this stuff. And I just like, I don't know, like I didn't feel like it was right to really question that. You know what I mean? And um like there was just so much that happened, and then and he wouldn't even want to sit next to me, which I was like, okay, well, yeah, I respect that, because if he's feeling that uncomfortable around me, like I was so confused at why all of that was happening, I guess. But then he suddenly was like, yeah, let's put on this crazy faith offering and let's go into counseling. And it all kind of stemmed out of one day he was like wanting to have sex with me. It's just I'll have to tell the whole story sometime. But anyway, we ended up kind of working to get back together. I was open to going to counseling because I just really, really wanted to get clarity on everything. Like, and if there was a way to work through it, to do that. And if there's stuff that I need to fix, whether he and I stayed together or not, I was like, well, I need to fix my toxicity. You know what I mean? And so, we started going, and then I was kind of living back with him a little bit, because for a while I was staying with my parents. And came back and stayed with him for a little bit because we were doing this fasting thing with church together, and it was just easy to cook the same type of meals. Like, it was like a limited diet we were doing. And like I don't want to try to seem like I'm like bragging or anything, but I am able to be creative, like in the kitchen, and like make healthy things and like limited diets, like to make it yummy and all of that. It's just like a passion of mine. And me if I could come back and live with him so we could like buy the same groceries and I could cook for us. And so I did that, and we kind of just started to try to slowly integrate back together. But I wasn't entirely ready to fully move back in yet, especially because like there were a lot of things that weren't addressed yet in counseling. And also, like, it didn't really seem like, like he wrote me this note. He put so much effort into like pushing me away, but I didn't really see a whole lot of effort when it came to like asking me to come back. It was just kind of like this unclear thing, and I just didn't feel super comfortable or like confident that, you know what I mean? I don't know if I'm like explaining it right. But anyway, like in one of our therapy sessions, I had told the counselor, I don't know how I feel about moving in yet, and he told me to email him. So I was getting ready to email him, and time had passed. And I was trying to still figure out with my parents if it was okay if I came back and lived with them again, or if I needed to maybe find a friend to crash with or something. I didn't really know. I kind of felt like my life was up in the air a lot of the time during that. Ugh, that was so stressful for me. Like, I have anxiety as it is, so just like not knowing what's happening was just really a lot for me. Anyway, which makes me so shocked of how I'm handling all of this, especially considering the pandemic and that I'm high risk and have to stay inside. But anyway, then the pandemic hit, and we decided that we would, because like I think our last therapy session was sometime near the end of February or something of 2020, and then the pandemic hit in March, of course. And then we were like, well, because he had an opportunity to work from home, my husband. We were like, well, I guess it's the safest option for me to move back in. So I just did that. I didn't think the pandemic would last this long. And even though I wasn't entirely comfortable, I kind of just felt like that was the only way. And okay, just to give a quick thing of my illness, I have hypogammaglobulinemia with B cell dysfunction, and I'm also HLA-B27 positive. I have just different things going on, like autoimmune as well as being naturally immunodeficient. So I can't take the immunosuppressive drugs for my autoimmune condition. Like without taking those drugs, I already have like a low immune system with the hypogammaglobulinemia. Basically, I've dealt with a lot of infections like mycoplasma, strep, different things like that. Like I get infections really, really easily. I get like fungus infections. My body, I've gotten like from the allergist, immunologist person, I've gotten testing like pricks on my skin to test my histamine response to different things. And I, my body was determined to not be able to fight fungus and yeasts. So I already have trouble fighting those things. But then because I get a lot of bacterial infections, I take antibiotics, which those can cause yeast overgrowth. It's just a whole thing. But then like, you know, with viruses suck because you can't take like antibiotics for them. I had other what the doctor said was like a coronavirus before, not COVID, but like a cold type thing, and it's affected me so bad. I have pictures of my throat just being like crazy, like all looks like a monster in there, and I could barely breathe. Got to a point where I couldn't talk. I had to go to the ER a few times during that infection. They pumped me with tons of antibiotics. Nothing was really helping. My joints hurt so bad. This was way before COVID, so I know it wasn't COVID, but they said it could have been some type of coronavirus. So that's why I'm like, with this whole COVID thing, that's why I'm pretty much stuck inside, if that makes any sense. And then there's like asthma, like I've had like lung scarring as a result of having so many infections like bronchitis and different things like that. But that looked funny on the camera. But anyway, so I decided to stay inside and kind of just staying with him. I decided I'm just gonna like kind of lay low and not allow myself to react to different things. Sometimes I did. I was not perfect. And I think in some ways we just speak a different language. I couldn't stay with my parents because there's 4 people living there. My mom, my dad, my brother, and my brother's girlfriend. My brother's girlfriend works in a grocery store. And I have 2 notes from my doctor saying that I was not supposed to return to work until the pandemic was cleared in our area, which it's been extended to December 2021. So I still haven't been able to work my normal job. So considering that my brother's girlfriend worked in a grocery store, I couldn't live with someone that was that exposed. Does that make sense? But anyway, so I'm at this point, long story short, I am currently trying to actually minimize items in my apartment so that I am more free to figure out what I'm doing with my life and move along as needed. So I will do a quick clip of how my apartment looks now. Hello. This is my bedroom right now. I have bins. I'm gonna try to put clothes in there that I may still keep but just want to put away so I'm not having too many options out at once. My camera is dirty. Hold on. Okay, that's a little better. My desk area. I just moved this bookshelf back here. I have read, then minimize. Read, then decide if keeping or minimizing, and keep. This is my dog that passed away. I did this sketch when I was in high school. This is my closet, which honestly, it looks terrible right now, but it looks a whole lot better than it did because it used to have like all my husband's stuff in here as well. I installed those shelves whenever I first moved back in. I'm so proud of myself. Bathroom door. My bathroom does not look bad. I mean, the clothes all over the place do, but generally it's pretty empty. And that's because we had a cat over here before that we kept the litter box in the drawers. I love the sign. If it's yellow, let it mellow. If it's brown, flush it down. My lists of things to do throughout the day. This is my living room. I started sorting through things. That bookshelf that we just saw in the bedroom, this used to actually be out here where that fence is. That fence is art made by a friend. So I have all these different things I got to go through to minimize. I really want to give that desk shelving thing back to my parents. It's kind of a family heirloom, and I love it. It's so beautiful, but I just don't really have the space for it. And there's two other pieces that go with it that my parents own, so I just really think I need to bring it back. And my kitchen's a mess. Why do I have all these cabinets open? Good Lord. Anyway, I'm probably gonna make some edibles with my cannabis that I haven't been using and just store them away in the freezer so that way I have them for the future and kind of declutter my cannabis drawer. I do medical marijuana. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it for now. I actually have another clip from like a month ago or so when I was like really stressed out trying this one work from home job. But I think that clip is transferred to my laptop or something like that, and I don't want to access it right now, but maybe eventually I'll show you like a grand before and after. Okay, so now you just got like a brief tour of everything that I'm trying to deal with and declutter, and I will take you along for the journey. It's really hard because I found out I'm like super sentimental of a lot of things that are kind of silly too. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why I get so attached to items. I guess it's because it kind of like reminds me of a piece of who I am. Does that make sense? Like, I know I won't lose myself if I get rid of my objects, but I feel like over the years I've kind of like, that might be part of the reason I've held on to things, is because there's been different things that I felt like, I don't know, like I've lost in terms of who I am, which I know is not true, but I just have felt really, I don't know, different and kind of depressed and anxious and overwhelmed. And I don't know, I keep thinking like I'll do something with this item, or I'll make this into a craft, or I'll read this book. And it just like, I went through the whole pandemic and I hadn't done that. So it's just like some of these things I just need to release. And I know it'll feel like a huge weight off my shoulders, but then I just also feel like, in a way, like, dang it, I really wanted to do these things with these items. And or I want to make sure that I'm getting rid of these items in the best way. I don't know. I think with some stuff, just to kind of ease my mind of the losing myself part, I could always just take pictures with my phone of different items and like tell about them. And I guess I could always upload it to this channel. That way I kind of have it still, you know? So if I ever do hit the road and just decide to live out of my SUV or whatever I end up doing in life, or just moving to a new place or whatever with less items, I can always look back and be like, oh yeah, this is a part of my life before, you know? So I think I'm going to do that. And that way I can even know what books I'm deciding not to read right now, because I could probably acquire them again in the future. So yeah. I think that is all for right now. I'll update you. I'm probably going to go to the police station really quick today and try to distance drop off some old prescriptions that are controlled substances, because I've been on like painkillers and stuff over the years before I started using medical marijuana, which right now I'm not using medical marijuana because I started Zoloft, and I heard that kind of like can compete with the receptors, or like coats the receptors so they can't. I don't know how to explain it all right now, but I've been basically taking a break from medical marijuana. But I still have like old pain meds that I'm not going to use. So I need to drop those off at the police station. I don't want to flush it because that'll get in the water supply, and I don't know. I just try to be conscious about things. So I'm going to do that. And then I have a bunch of Christmas wrapping paper in my car that I'm going to drop off at a friend's house who likes to repurpose things, who makes art out of paper scraps. There's this really pretty sparkly paper that I'm going to give her because I feel like she could use that. And I just have some other random errands I'm gonna run. So I'll get back to you later and let you know where I'm at. Thank you for watching.